Okay, I'm just going to tell you a quick little story. I'm not a Bible scholar or anything, so you got to look all this up. I'll tell you what to look up. Okay, it's like this. There is this thing in Judaism. It's well known, so you can look up that part too and make sure I'm saying this right, that it's a well known story. It's in the Talmud, I think. It has to do with the way David was conceived. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs, and I don't know the story. This is just off the top of my hip. I just wanted to tell you this so you can look it up to confirm everything I'm saying. Got to do it. Got to do it for yourself. Apparently, King David's mother was like she's outside her heritage is a bit outside the Jewish traditional bloodline, and so King David's dad, at some point, he got concerned that he didn't have some sort of heir that pick up after he's gone that was really unquestionably inside the bloodline. But they had this maidservant that was in the bloodline. So he decided to, I guess, they can do this. They can just marry your servant. So he did that, and he was going to have the wedding night or whatever, and conceive a baby. But the maidservant felt sorry for David's mother, that she was being excluded, kind of overlooked. And so on the night of the big deal, she traded places. And so it was King David's mother that went into the bridal tent, and she conceived a baby. However, this did not go over too well, because according to David's dad, he thought he was making out with this maidservant, and all of a sudden his wife, David's mom, says she's going to have a baby. Well, he knew he didn't do it because he didn't believe he did it, so he considered David an illegitimate child. Still married, he was still married to David's mother, but he considered her to have cheated on him. And that is the story. It's well known in the Jewish thing. So you got to check this out for yourself to confirm everything says so. But this explains one thing in the Bible. It explains when Samuel came to anoint a king, and he went to King David's family, because he knew it was one of those sons. And remember, he first looked at the tallest one who was head and shoulders above everybody else, and he thought that was it. But no, God told him, no, you're looking on the outside. I look on the inside. And the prophet went down the line, and none of these sons I forget the guy's name, of David's dad, none of them were going to be king. The Lord said, no, I rejected them all. And that's why they had to ask, well, if there's any more sons, because David was the illegitimate son. There's no way David's dad would have put him forward, because he would never want what he considered to be an illegitimate son to be anointed king. And so it was only an afterthought when he said, well, yeah, I got this other guy. And that would turn out to be King David that was anointed. But it also explains when David, in the Psalms, he was really depressed. And he mentioned, in sin did my mother conceive me. Because, normally, what does that mean? Everybody always assumes nowadays we use that as a teaching thing to say, well, see right there, he was talking about original sin of Adam being passed on. But when you look at it in its context, no, that's not David was talking about. David was bummed out at something, and he mentioned something. He mentioned something about his mother. And he goes, in sin did my mother conceive me. He's actually, that's kind of a really kind of a nasty thing for a son to say about his mom, because it hints right away. It hints right away of that she cheated on her husband. In sin did my mother conceive me? Somebody who is legitimate never says that about his mother. But he did. He said that about his mother. So why did he? What person would ever tell another person that, your mom conceived you in sin? What guy does that? And the only people that really would do that are what your stepbrothers would do. Stepbrothers would point that out right away. And here's the weirdest thing is David and his brothers probably grew up thinking each other was, from a different parents. All of King David's brothers probably looked at David as the illegitimate kid because of the story of the way he was conceived, and they didn't understand that that maid that they had thought was going to be the mother would trade places. As far as they knew, David's mom cheated with some guy. And so, yeah, he grew up hearing this. And that's about the only excuse you have for somebody to say that about his mom, that in sin did my mother conceive me. None of us, no son is going to say that about his mom. Because, nobody's going to say, oh, he was talking about Adam. No. Nobody would assume that. And saying that, nobody would ever do that. So we've used that verse to prove something in our arguments and with other people about original sin. But if you actually just look at the words and look at it, no son is going to say that. It's a statement made in pain. That is a painful thing to say. But it's probably something he grew up listening to all the time. And then when, of course, he was in this bad low point in his life, it had to be words that just came to him again, how he was conceived like that.